So we're at one of my favorite spots. This is my favorite spot because I catch a lot of catfish here. This is one of those places where you can come and catch 20 to 30 catfish just in one trip. There's a lot of reasons why that is, and we're gonna go over it here in a second on this video. But we're set up here, we're gonna be fishing here today, so we might get interrupted a little bit by some fish, but that's okay, that'll be pretty cool too. But let me get the camera and start showing you guys some cool stuff about this spot.
There you go. Oh, it's a blue. Nope. That's
I can't see anything.
Be still, mate. Be still. I'll get the hook out of it.
It's a channel.
That's a little one. It's hooked up good.
There you go. Throw that one back. That one's not a real catfish.
Yeah, it's just a toy unit.
We'll get a real catfish in a minute.
That's something we can catch in your fish tank at home.
Yeah. So coming down on this spot, I came back up here to walk down and show you guys. Now, they've finally started dropping the water here. The last few times you guys have seen me fish here, I've had my wader boots on, and there was no bank here. So they're dropping water. It'll eventually get way down here, but there's plenty of bank here. You can bring several people here, which is really cool. A lot of fish can be caught, and we're gonna go over why that is. So it's really close to the road too, which is pretty cool. You ain't gotta carry your gear a lot, but it has a lot of these big rocks and stuff here, and you guys can probably see there's one, that dark spot right there in the water. Maybe that'll pick it up on the camera. There's a lot of those rocks out there, so there's a lot of things for these mussels to get attached to and stuff. There's a ton of mussels here. There's big mussels, there's small mussels, they're everywhere. There's one, there's a bunch underneath that rock there. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to pick it up. There's a lot of small like crustacean shells or whatever you want to call them. Some smaller things like this, and this is a ton of food for these catfish. These blue catfish especially. This is a big blue cat spot. They love these mussel beds. So when the water starts dropping a little bit more, I was kind of hoping we'd get to see it today. We are seeing some mussels here, but when the water drops way out here, you can actually see a lot of those mussels stayed on those rocks and got stuck to it. Tons and tons of wads of mussels, so it's very, very good food source. You don't have to worry about bait being up in here at the right time or anything like that, because there's always the mussels in here. That gives a really good reason for those cats to be here. Now, in the first video and the second video, we talked about being at the bend of the river. Now, this spot is really, really cool because hopefully the sun don't blind you here. We are actually right in the bend here. This is perfect. The water bends around that way there, and then you come back over here, and it actually bends around back again there. So we got a really good bend, and we're on the outside of that bend. There's always a ton of fish in these bends. We have a little small cove right here for these bait fish to move up in here, so that adds the mussels, bait fish, all kinds of stuff. And you guys can see a ton of laydowns here. We got a tree here, tree here, tree here, and there's a bunch of trees out in the water you kind of got to watch out for. And you go that way as well. Hopefully sun don't blind you again. A ton of laydowns. So there's some flatheads in here because of the laydowns. There's a lot of mussels in here. Bring the blues and stuff in here. We're at the bend of the river. And the last thing that is really, really cool about this spot is there's actually an underground railroad track. I guess there used to be a railroad that come through here, and when they built the lake and flooded everything, they flooded that railroad track, and it's not very far out there. So that's some added structure. Those big, what do you call it? The like 8x8 posts or something. Yeah, the big things and all that the railroad, the cross ties and stuff. That's what I'm looking for. Cross ties. Those set on and everything. Then you got the tracks itself. That's out there. So those are pretty far out there. You kind of got to watch when you're casting. You don't get hung up on that railroad track. I've frayed my line up a few times here because of that. But once you start realizing where everything's at out there, you can figure out, I want to cast here, I want to cast there, I want to cast, how far can I cast this pole versus that pole. The further you go this way, the closer you get to the track. The further you come this way, the further away the track goes out. So the track kind of stayed along here. It kind of comes down and then it starts going out. Way like that. And I'll probably put this on Navionics maybe and show you guys what that looks like underwater there, so you guys can get a feel for the Navionics app. I know we've been talking about it a lot, so I'll kind of give you guys a little feel there of what this actually does look like on Navionics under the water. So we got a ton of structure again. We've got plenty of bank spot. We've got the mussels. We've got coves for bait fishing here. We're in the bend of the river, so that's another thing to look for. And then actually, I don't know if we're going to be able to get this on camera. It's probably about froze up. But right over there, you can see where that log is real wet. Everything else is real dry around here, except for that log right there. There's actually a little underwater spring right here. Now, when it comes back into the spring and we get a lot of rain and stuff like that, it actually absolutely stays soaking wet right there in that area, because there's an underwater spring. You can actually hear it when you're here, coming up under the water, and then it comes up out of the ground right through here. So that's another added element to this spot for different times of the year. It helps kind of keep the water a little cool, come out from all that. So there's a lot of cool things, and I'm actually getting the bite on this pole. Mr. Colt's gonna try to take it for us. We'll see what happens here.
I'm tired of watching it bounce.
It's been going bouncing.
It's gotta be on there.
Like I said, this is a place for numbers. You're gonna catch a bunch of dinks here. I think Errol might be hooked up over there. I don't know. I can't tell. If he is, we'll go over there in a minute. He was getting a bite though. You getting a bite?
Oh, I'm getting a bite on that
Yep.
pole.
All right, put that one down.
Hey, my cove's running.
This pole is running.
Look way over here.
And we got him.
Which way am I over?
Just go under. There you go.
Where's this one?
So as you guys can see, we've already caught one fish. I know the audio sucked on that first part, but we've had a couple bites, and now we're hooked up again before we could even get this bank spot filmed completely out. Let me get on the other side, so maybe the sun might be blinding the camera. I hope not.
I don't know how in the world I made it by your two poles.
That thing, it just ran this way is what it done.
Yeah, but you'd think it had to cross from sometime, right?
There we go. Another catfish. It doesn't look like a real catfish.
I don't think it is. I don't think it's a real catfish.
That one's not a real catfish, but it is a catfish. We'll get him up here. Get him
I didn't
unhooked
flip your butt.
and get him thrown out. Huh?
Huh? Let me get the camera.
No, what is that one going off again?
I didn't flip your butt. I didn't get
That was kind of fat. Now we do see where these mussels are here, especially when you get kind of in the winter months here. These cats and stuff right here do get some big bellies on them because they're constantly feeding up on these mussels. I don't know if it's where the mussels in the wintertime just kind of, I don't know, they just stay put and they're easy pickings or what, but they do get a little fatter, and they definitely feed on mussels here. So yeah, there we go. Okay, so back to the video. Basically, I'm just going to go over the main points that you guys need to look for in a spot like this. Like we said, the biggest thing is the bend in the river. We are right on the bend of the river. Every time I get close to the bend of the river, it seems like number-wise, the cats pick up. So being right on the bend, this is a really hot spot. All throughout the year, spring, winter, fall, summer, doesn't matter. As long as it's fishable when the water ain't all the way up on the bank, there's a ton of cats being caught here all the time. We've got the mussels in here, so we got food. We've got this little cove that brings in some bait, especially when we get a good wind blowing this way. We got the structure with the rocks. We got structure with trees. More so structure that way as the trees actually go out into the water. And these are kind of getting to where they're up on the land more so. But we got all of that. We got the spring. We've got everything here for some really good fishing. And as you guys are already seeing, it's definitely some good fishing. So you really, really want to look for those things that I just mentioned in your spot, and you will find some.
That was a live shad.
Catfish.
That was a live shad.
Oh yeah, that one came off a live shad, and actually I think barrels come off of a body section of the shad. So that's going to be it for this video. We'll look forward to seeing you guys in the fishing portion of this, and then the next bank spot. Later, dudes.